I want to ask you about opening night. What does it mean to you? You've done this for a long time, but to go out there on that opening night with that kind of energy, what is it like for you?
Well, it's time, basically. You have your preseason. Speaking from a coach's point of view, you want to see what you have. No matter what you think you have, no matter what you guys think we have, we're going to find out as we start playing the games for real. I think you find out about some of the guys that you're not sure of. Like, I think we'll have 4 rookies in there tomorrow night. Whole different type of situation when you start playing for the real stuff. Bigger crowds, certainly more pressure, more scrutiny. It's a time for us that you zero in on what your team is and where the strengths are as the season starts and where some of the weaknesses are.
And it's different because you have those opening ceremonies, so the adrenaline is really high when the game starts. What do you do to try to temper that, or do you do anything to try to temper it? Do you just let them go?
Nah, you don't overthink it. I just like playoffs. We go about our business. Like when we entered the playoffs, we prepared just the way we always prepared in the regular season. I don't think you need to add anything to it as far as getting ready to play. And like I said to you last night when I talked to you for a half hour.
22 minutes, but
yeah, yes. They're not listening half the time. Excuse me for spitting on you there, but
not the first, won't be the last.
They're not listening in half the things you're saying because they're just preoccupied, and they should be. They're ready to play. This is about them, and they've put the uniform every day and skated the volume of skating they had here in the past 3 or 4 weeks. Let them play, and let's see where we're at as we start chipping away at it and we get into our season.
Do you like the fact, or does it matter to you, that you open against a divisional opponent? And actually, if you look at the schedule, you're going to get 3 of the first 4 right in the division.
I haven't even looked at who we play. I've looked at the opening night. It doesn't matter who we play. I think you start working on that and can zero in on some of that stuff as you get into the guts of the season. I want to see us play. I want to see have guys improved. Can some of the young kids handle some of the small little pressures that are involved in this year? Yeah, and try to get off on the right foot. So certainly not overthinking it.
How do you feel about your special teams right now that you've had a chance to work on them much more specifically than you did early in camp?
Yeah, we have spent a lot of time on special teams. We started our special teams work a lot earlier in camp. I think you see a few of the games last night, how many penalties were called. I think it's going to be a big part of this opening 15, 20 games. I like what I see. I think the first group with Panarin added is going to be better. I think we have a more dangerous second group with the addition of Luke and Sonny. Sonny's made some really good plays on it. Him and Jonesy have worked pretty well together. So it's going to be a big part of, I think, some of the chances to win games or lose games. Your special team is going to be a big part of that.
See, I told you it'd be all different.
So there's another 10 minutes I've talked to you. We have other people waiting here. There's another 10 minutes I've talked to you.
Best 10 minutes of your day so far.
With Panarin coming in, with Milano, with Dubois, Bjorkstrand now, you're adding some skill up front, some much-needed skill, some difference makers up front. How interested are you in maintaining the work ethic you've had and not just putting skill?
Yeah, it's a big deal to me. I don't think they realize it. I think they will realize it as we show clips as we start our season. I think that's one of the biggest versus the X's and O's. I think that's one of the biggest challenges we have as coaches with this team here is the fine line of letting them go, but also understanding you got to grind too. And we started bringing this into our meetings, our last 2 exhibition games. So I'm going to watch it. I don't want to take the sticks out of their hand. I want them to be creative. I want to let them go. But it's also a hard game to play. And you need to grind and you need to do your board work. So that's certainly, if not the biggest point, one of the biggest points I'm watching early in the year.
Josh gets in today. If you had any way to evaluate where he's at, physical shape?
No. I mean, Josh is a good player. I watch him. He can skate. He's flying around out there today, and he has all the tools. But to evaluate him on really a 35-minute practice, no, You can't.
I don't know if you did any testing with him earlier.
We will. We will, yes.
John, have you talked to Josh at all yet, or just been on the ice with him?
No, I talked to him last night when he was driving. Wanted to make sure he was safe getting in here. Wanted to know when he crossed the border. Just trying to timeline as far as how long it was going to be for him to get here, because we had a physical for him waiting this morning, and just checking in on him as far as his travels here. Talked to him a little bit this morning as far as what he's been doing, but not a lot of conversation. You know, as much as I disagree with how it was handled, and I don't think it helped him, he's a good player, and now he's ours. He's signed, he's ours. We bring him in, we try to be smart as far as preparing him to play, and we expect him to be a really big part of our team.
As far as morning skates, maybe the next month or so, I mean, you're going to follow the same plan as last year?
Yeah.
Was that something that was evaluated with the players over the summer, or did you need to do anything at all?
No, we talked about it as it was going on when we brought it in last year. Once the players got away from that stubbornness as far as their routine, I think for the most part they liked it. And some of the cheap guys still come in here for the free meal. But other than that, we're not skating, and we're going to go about it the same way. I think it pays off not only now, but more importantly, in those dog days of late February and March.
You mentioned 4 rookies, but Pierre-Luc's the only one who's making his NHL debut. Is that an added nervousness, extra energy for him tomorrow night, you think?
I'm sure he is. You'll have to talk to him. I think he's played with he's played in big tournaments, as I said yesterday. He's played in big tournaments, been around some big people, some high-stake games. I'm sure he's going to be nervous. If he's not nervous, he's not ready. But he'll be able to handle it. He's a mature kid. I'm thrilled for him because he was overwhelmed last year, totally overwhelmed by our camp. And I thought he has grown up over the year, and hopefully he's going to be a big part of our club.
The other end of the spectrum, Matt Calvert's been here longer than anybody else, and I just wonder, when you have maybe 4 rookies in your lineup, what it does to have guys like Matt that have been around, that have seen some things to, I guess, help with that.
Yeah, Calvy's had a good camp. Tomorrow night he's playing in a top 9 role. He's going to kill penalties. He's prepared. I think it's probably the most prepared I've seen him since I've known him. I think he wants more responsibility. I think he's trying to tell me I want to do more. But yeah, those guys, the Calverts, the Dubinskis, the Felinos, and players like that, the Jack Johnsons, those are the guys the young guys need to lean on. They shouldn't ask us as coaches any questions. They need to talk to the guys that have been through it. And I'm sure there'll be, if no questions come their way, they'll go to the young guys and try to settle them down. But quite honestly, I don't want them to settle down. I want them to be excited. I want them to be nervous. I want them to feel it and see how they react. And that's all part of the whole process of becoming a pro in the National Hockey League.
You were on guard all camp for any signs of complacency after the success last season. Do you feel like you got through it and you've seen any signs of that or no signs of it? Are you comfortable with the team's approach?
I'm comfortable. I continue to watch. I got a bit of a burr up my ass today. I just see as a coach, you're always thinking on the other side of it. I want to make sure, and that is my job. It's not to be a pain in the neck to the players, but it is my job to watch that, because sometimes they don't even know that's going on. So I have a couple of alerts just today that I'm going to rectify, and because I think that's a big part of my job, is to make sure we stay on top of ourselves.
You think you've gained the respect that you've been seeking here yet, or do you need to?
In the league?
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
No. You gotta make the playoffs again.
You got to make the playoffs and play more than 10 days. You got to make the playoffs and make them again before it becomes your fabric. And it goes right to your question earlier. That's where I think some of the guys that haven't been involved in the playoffs and understand how you gain respect in the league, and with such a young group, that's my job, is to go through those lessons. And I am going to look for things. I'm going to look for things to pick on, so I hammer it home, because this league is an unforgiving league. This is a new year. teams are better. Our division's going to be better. We got so many things that we have to go through before we say this is what the Columbus Blue Jackets are. We're not close.
You screwed up and put two doobies on the same line.
Yeah, I f***ed up today myself when I'm.
How do you separate that?
It's Luke.
Okay,
Yeah,
you go with Luke.
yeah. I call him Luke, but today I was yelling during one of the drills, Doobie, and they both looked at me, and I quickly said Doobie 2, and Doobie 2 went. So his name's Luke.
You just go with Luke.
I've asked him if I can call him Luke, and he likes it. So yeah, that's what I'm going to go with. Yes.
Is Sedlak okay with you calling him Luke, with Pierre Luke?
Who?
Luke Sedlak, you okay with him?
I don't. I've never. Is that his first name? His name is Sedzi. I've never called him by his. I don't even know his first name.
Now you know.
Who? Who? Yeah, we're calling him Bread. Yeah, I wasn't sure how. I do too. I do like it now. At first, I said, "Man, how am I going to say Bread? You're up," on the bench. But everybody else is calling him, so yeah, we're going with Bread. What's that?
He responds right away.
Yeah, he's responded pretty well by any name, I think. So yeah.